I honestly didn't think I would be able to do this. I work full time. I have a kid. I went to college years ago. I don't have 4 hours a day, but you guys gave me a cheat code and it worked.
Welcome to another episode of the CPA Exam Experience Podcast from SuperfastCPA. I'm Logan, and in today's interview, you're going to hear Nate and I talk to Colbi. Now, Colbi has an awesome story. When she started studying for the CPA exam, she didn't really have any idea what she was doing. She didn't know what review course to go for. She didn't know how to study. She had just finished a few classes to be able to sit for the exam, and now she had to figure out what she was doing. So she was researching a little bit, what review course to use, and one day she got a little clip or an ad on Instagram, somebody talking about the experience they had with SuperfastCPA, and she went and looked it up and said, Superfast, that's exactly what I want. So she decided to just go for it. And as you'll see in this interview, she absolutely crushed it. She actually, at the time of the interview, had only passed 3 out of the 4 exams, and she was waiting for her final score. And she let us know recently that she did get her final score and she passed all of the exams. So she went 4 for 4. And not only did she go 4 for 4, she was able to still maintain her life and do cool things. She has a son that she was able to spend time with, and she felt like he didn't feel like she was always studying 100% of the time. She felt like she was still able to be a mom to him. She also was able to go to a Taylor Swift concert, and she was also able to keep helping with beauty pageants, which is something that she's passionate about. And again, she was able to keep doing that even though she was studying for the CPA exam. One of my favorite things that she talks about is in the morning she'd be studying on her laptop in the hotel, and then in the evening she'd put on a gown and go to the Miss America pageant, which is really cool that she was able to maintain these awesome things that she was doing. One more thing to look out for in this interview, she said that she finished her audit exam in less than 2 hours. So again, she obviously had the process down and totally crushed these exams. I think you're going to love this interview. Before we jump into the interview, just a reminder about the Superfast CPA training webinar on our website, SuperfastCPA.com. It's a free 1-hour webinar where we teach the key ingredients to passing the CPA exam. It's something you don't want to miss, and we will save you so much time struggling with the process just by going and watching that video. With all that said, let's dive straight into the interview with Colbi.
Okay. So normally I pull up, search your email. Are you done with all 4, or where are you at?
So I've passed
with
3
the exams.
I've passed 3. I've passed Reg, Audit, and BEC, and I've got FAR. I'm ready to test. I'm just sort of dragging my feet because I really am not liking these testing windows. The way the scores are coming out is really making me nervous. So I'm kind of like, I want to be the most ready that I've been before I sit for FAR because I'm going to have to wait like 3 months for my scores. So.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we're telling everyone. It's more important than ever to be real ready, or over prepared if possible.
Yeah.
So let's just go back to the beginning. So when you started studying for the CPA, like where were you at in your career? What made you want to get the CPA? And let's just start with that.
Okay. So I graduated from college in 2017, and when I graduated, I wanted to get my CPA, but I really didn't think I'd be able to do it. I had heard what a nightmare it was, and I just was like, I had a job. I figured I didn't need it. So I just sort of was like, whatever, I won't do it. Had a kid, life, all the things happened, and my son turned a year old, and I just sort of was like, you know what? I can do hard things. I'm going to try. And if I can't, at least I tried. So I didn't have the 150 credits though. So I had to take a couple of classes. I think it was 3 or 4. So I started the process of that. And then in 2022 is when I applied to be able to sit. I got accepted. And then that's when the testing process started for me.
And so did you just pick a review course and start watching video lectures, or what was it like in the very beginning?
So I had no idea where to start. And I was working full time. I have a child. I was like, I can't do this the way college students do this. I can't sit and study all day long. I don't have that kind of time. So I was sort of researching, is there a way to hack this? Like, I know you can't cheat the system, but can I be smarter, more efficient with my time? So I was researching study processes. I was looking at, do I buy Becker? Surgeon, where do I go? I was looking at Becker. My sister actually works for Becker, but I wanted a plan because there's so much in Becker, so much, and I just didn't know where to go. So I started researching, and I found you guys actually on social media randomly, and was like, I saw the Superfast, and I was like, that sounds like what I want, Superfast. So watched your pro course, and was like, if this actually works, like this could change my life. So I bought the materials, I bought everything you offer, and just went with it. And it worked. So, for 3 out of 4, I guess. So.
Awesome. Okay. End of story. So yeah, so you had us from the beginning then. So you watched the pro videos before you really started the day-to-day study process.
Yeah. I started with your method, point blank, the very beginning. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, we're hearing that more and more often. We've always had a mix of someone who starts with us from the beginning. I would say, I don't know, like 70% of people figure out how hard it is and then go looking for something else, and then find us. But yeah, it's more and more common. So when you watched the pro videos, what were the things that made sense to you? Do you remember specifically?
Actually, none of it made sense to me. I remember being like, there's no way this is going to work, but it sounds good, so I'm going to try it. I was very much the typical student in college. I read my textbook. I did all of the homework. Like, I did all of the things. I dotted my I's and crossed my T's. So I was like, I can't do this. But I went with it. It didn't make sense to me for a long time in the beginning. Audit is where I started. And every time I would sit down to do like my first set of multiple choice questions, I would be like, this is ridiculous. I'm getting everything wrong. But you stick with it, and it slowly the pieces get falling into place, and you're like, wow, this is actually working. And I'm not watching videos. I don't have a textbook. I'd never have bought a textbook. So I haven't done any of that, but it works. So
awesome. Yeah. How long was that before, you start, it's confusing, but you just push through and follow the, strategies anyways? And was it like 3 weeks or 4 weeks before you start realizing, okay, this is like working?
Yeah, I would say it was like 3 to 4 weeks. I started studying. I bought everything in the end of November, beginning of December is when I started studying. And I remember like the end of the year is when I was like, I'm getting good scores, like on my re-review every day. I'm consistently getting 70s, 80s, and I've covered half of the material. Like, so I'm getting somewhere. And that's when I was like, okay, this works. Like, I'm just going to roll with it. So you guys know what you're doing.
If I could just get every customer to do that, it's I say that in the videos, like, okay, so it's like the riding the bike example. I'm going to tell you how this works, but then you have to actually try it and stumble and wrestle with the whole thing for a few weeks until it like clicks. But then some people, they hate feeling confused, and it's easier to like watch the video and think, okay, this makes sense because they just nicely presented this to me. But then the thing is, people would get to the questions and realize they still don't know how to answer the questions, even though they watched the video. So yeah, that's I'm gonna make a clip out of everything you just said and make people watch it. So let's see. So did you kind of follow it exactly? Like, you studied in the morning and then used our study tools throughout the day?
Right. So I will say my study process has definitely morphed over the 4 exams. Like, what I'm doing now is not what I was doing with audit. But with audit, I was like, this is going to be my religion. I'm going to do exactly what you tell me to do. And so I was getting up at 5 a.m. every day, doing my 2-hour study sessions, doing my re-review, and then throughout the day when I had time, which really honestly wasn't that much because it was tax season at that point, it was pretty close. Multiple choice questions, audio notes when I was in the car or when I was exercising, whatever, and then the re-review. I would say the actual physical notes I read through the most is what I did from what you guys offered, I guess.
Okay. So you printed out the SuperFast review notes and read those through like physically. Did you like put it in like a 3-ring binder, or is that what you're saying?
So I was on my phone. I don't think I've ever printed them out or had like a fit, but on my phone I just constantly sort of read through. I actually would sort of give myself homework in a way of like, you need to cover through this whole note within, like, I would try to cover them all at least every week. Just constantly getting through it. I need to get through this many pages a day. Like, I would have a daily goal for a re-review note, I guess, is how I put it.
Yep. Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, okay, I wasn't a very fast reader, so my goal might not have been very lofty, but I was reading like maybe 10 or 15 pages a day of the review notes.
Okay.
But yeah, like setting that goal every day, it helps you kind of like have milestones so that you feel like you're accomplishing something,
Yeah, definitely.
That is huge. That's yeah, the people that get the best results almost always say something like that. That they'll set benchmarks or milestones, I guess, actual things to hit, so that you're getting through things X number of times. Or I know I need to do 10 mini quizzes a day, or 20 mini quizzes a day, or a mini quiz every hour.
Yeah.
That's a really valuable tip to anyone that ends up listening to this.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of just saying, I'm going to try to use these throughout the day, and however that goes,
see what happens.
just setting things to hit.
Yeah.
Well, so how did your study process morph? Like, what were just kind of explain that.
I don't know that I'm a good example on this, but I will say, like, when I got my passing score back from audit, I was like, I really don't have to kill myself. So I'm going to actually kind of scale back on this because it's February and I don't really have the time. So I stopped studying in the morning with reg because it was high season for me and I couldn't do it anymore. So I started studying at night, which I don't really recommend. I think morning is more effective and efficient just for what you've got going on in your brain. But I was doing what I could do at the time. And I sort of scaled back on the audio notes. I really don't they're just not my thing. I think paper works for me, reading works for me, listening. I'm like a music person. Like if I'm in my car, I would much rather have the radio on than listening to you talk to me. Unfortunately, that sounds horrible, but yeah. So I sort of switched gears on that. But I really did stick to the method of, you cover this much new material a day and the re-review. Like re-review. I can't say that enough. Re-review is what got me because it not only you need to recover that material, but it also sort of reinforces in your brain, okay, I still remember this. Like I can keep moving forward, So I would say just time of day changed for me. BEC really hit me hard and I was sort of doing both night and morning because I don't know why I struggled with BEC a lot. The material just wasn't clicking for me and I felt like I was rushed because of the way the exam was changing, the deadline. Like I just didn't feel like I had the wiggle room that I had with reg and audit. So I sort of had to put more into it. But now with FAR, I'm back in tax season. I'm back to studying late at night. But I'm getting the same scores on my re-review. So I'm just like, it works regardless of what time of day I think. It's just, you do what works for you, I guess.
Yeah. The big caveat with, like you said, studying in the morning is typically so much easier, more effective. It can be done at night. If you are making it happen and it's effective, then you can study whenever you want. I just think for most people that are somewhere already in the process and they've struggled with any number of things, then studying in the morning solves a lot of problems, just that one thing. But if you're making it happen at night and it's working, then great. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
So did you passed reg during busy season, or you passed that attempt obviously?
Right. So I started studying for reg. I got my scores back on audit. So this is my thing. I'm not a continual studier. I take the exam and then I wait for my scores before I move on because I just mentally can't do two things at one time. So I got my scores back and I started studying for reg. I think it was March-ish. I sat for reg the beginning of June and passed it on my first attempt. So it was like busy season. And then finally May came and I was like, okay, I can get back to where I need to be. And that's what I did to pass it in June.
So you went 3 for 3 then on your first 3 actual attempts.
Yep. Which is very encouraging. I will say,
awesome.
Just having that momentum. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. You're not alone with BEC. I thought it was way harder than the other exams. Honestly, that one was I had just finished FAR and I was like, oh, I can do the rest of them so easy. And I got to BC and that one was just brutal. I barely passed that one. I got a 75 on that one. So you're not alone. I'm glad we don't have BC anymore, honestly.
My sister, like I said, works for Becker and she told me She was like, if I were you, I would get BEC under my belt before the exam changes, because those, whatever you call them, I haven't even looked at them because they're not my problem. But it's going to be difficult. Like, you would be much better to do BEC. So I was like, okay, this is my goal now. I got to get this done by the end of the year. And everyone that I talked to, like all the people I work with, were like, oh, BEC is nothing. Like, you'll be fine. And I just getting through the material, I was not understanding it. I don't know why. It just wasn't clicking for me. I was having to watch lectures, read, things that I never had to do with reg or audit. And I've never worked in audit a day in my life. I knew nothing about audit going into it, but it clicked for me. BEC didn't, for whatever reason. So I just had to morph my study process to sort of get through the material alone. And the exam itself, I didn't feel, so with audit and reg, when I walked out, I was like, I passed that. I felt really good. With BEC, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. So.
Yeah. Several things I want to comment on. What I was going to ask this earlier. So when you got your audit score and you said, okay, I think I overdid it, did you like score really high?
No, I got a 83 on audit. But the thing that made me feel like I did too much with audit was I finished the exam in under 2 hours. Like, I got to the end and I looked at the timer and I was like, is this good or bad? Like, I feel like I did well, but maybe I wasn't paying attention. I don't know. Like, but I think it's the MCQ thing, like practicing the multiple choice questions 30, like just over and over. You just get to a point where you just blow through them, I feel like. And which I do think is a huge advantage when it comes to simulations, because you have all that time and you're not like stressing to get it done. So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You're just saying exactly what all my theories are. Yeah. So, let's see. The other thing I was going to say, so with BEC, you start, like you said, you were doing other things, like you were studying in the morning and in the evening. And that's such a key thing, is just, okay, on the surface, our claim, like you can study 2 hours a day and this can be relatively simple, but there will be times where, at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do. And so I guess the question is, what was happening with BEC? Was it just your scores and your sets of 30, or what was going on where you just knew I've got to put in more time, or maybe watch videos here and there? Just how did you know you needed to modify the approach for BEC?
So definitely my re-review is like my gauge for everything. Like, am I understanding the material? Am I maintaining what I covered a month ago? Like, I just sort of follow those scores. Am I ready to sit for the exam? And I wasn't doing well. My scores were not improving. Things that I had covered over and over and over again, I was like, I'm not getting this. It's not clicking. I got to do something. And then even my daily new material, a lot of times with audit, and especially with reg, because I work in tax, I would just get through it and be like, yeah, I understand this. I can move on. Just from like the new material, I wouldn't feel like I needed to go back over and over again. But with BEC, every day I would be like, that, I didn't understand that at all. Like, I haven't seen that in my day-to-day life. Like, I don't know. I just needed something to help me.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that makes sense to me. And it's like sometimes I just hear things from people that are kind of, it's kind of like they latch on to the idea of the 2 hours or whatever. And they're like, well, I'm doing that, but it's not working. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, you have to do what you have to do. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out. That's just, this whole thing is kind of a skill, or you have to constantly evaluate your own process, like how it's going, being realistic with yourself. So yeah, that's just a good example of that, where audit was really easy, but then you had to do more for BEC, then not as much for reg. Yeah. So what about on the weekends? Did you study longer on the weekends, or how did you treat the weekends for studying?
Yeah, this is when I'm like, you don't want to show my answers to this. I didn't really change anything on the weekend. Like I've listened to the podcast and I hear people say, like, I doubled up. I would do 5 to 6 hours. I had a kid on the weekend. I would do things with him. I would go to the birthday parties. I would do exactly what I did during the week. I can't say I doubled down or would sit for 6 hours. I just don't have that. With a 5-year-old running around, I can't do that. So
yeah, but at the same time, that's again the big caveat. If what you're doing is working, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Right. An interview we did yesterday, he was kind of saying that it's kind of like you were saying, after the first three exams, by the end, his process just got so efficient that he was kind of just doing 2 hours in the morning, 3 days a week. And then he would work out 2 days a week in the morning. So he would only study like an hour. So I was saying, okay, so you were studying 8 hours a week and, still passed FAR. Well, and so it all comes down to, is what you're doing working? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead. Whatever you were going to say.
No, the time thing. Like, I'm not going to say I always study 2 hours a day. Like, I would get up 5:30, 6, just depends on what I was doing. My goal every day was more about covering new material and making sure I got that re-review in. So if I got to a lesson, like with reg, this happened a lot, where I just sort of like, yeah, I know this. I can just move on from this. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on the new module or whatever, and I would go into the re-review. Sometimes I would do more than 30 questions of re-review just because I felt like that was more valuable to me. But I didn't ever have like, oh, you got to sit here for 2 hours. It was more about, did you cover the new material and did you do your re-review? Did you check those 2 boxes? So.
Yes. And so again, I'm guessing that if you didn't get through the new stuff in that morning, you would, what would you do with that later that evening or that weekend or what?
So new material is like the thing that I struggle with. I like doing the re-review. It's just like something that I don't dread doing. I will sit down and do that any time of the day. So I would always start the day with new material because I wanted that off my plate. And then if I didn't get to my re-review, I would do that in the evening, whenever, just, it would be done before I went to bed, even if it was midnight. Like, I would sit down at my laptop and do 30 questions just to have it done.
Yeah. So again, another example of just, this is what has to happen today, and then doing it, like, regardless of the timing.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Logan.
You can get to the point where like, we've kind of talked about this already, that whatever you're doing is working. So like you can make those adjustments to around your life. A lot of times I think people might jump the gun with wanting to make adjustments to the plan before they've even passed any exams. But you had already passed some exams and you were like, okay, I'm getting this. So you were able to, modify it and still make it work. I did something similar. Like I just knew I couldn't sit there for 4 or 6 hours on a Saturday and on a Sunday, like mainly for focus reasons. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I have 2 kids as well, so I didn't want to like be gone most of the day. But I modified that and made it so that I had a long final review to still get lots of extra studying in. And I kind of actually, that kind of goes along with a question that I had. So since you weren't doing like a ton of studying on the weekends, we typically recommend, studying sims on the weekends. What was your strategy with the sims? Like, when did you study those?
Yeah. See, I listened to the podcast as far as simulations, because the first few lessons I did, I tried to do the simulations, and then I was like, this is not, I'm not ready for sims. I'm not there yet. So I just sort of ignored them with audit entirely until I got to the point where I was like, I need to sit. I'm getting close. I need to have at least looked at some. But when I was listening to the podcast, I feel like a lot of people were saying, it doesn't matter because the simulations are not going to be what you think they're going to be. Like, no matter what you do, exam day is going to be what it's going to be. The only thing you can do is sort of know how to move through them. So what I did was I would just sort of treat them like my MCQs. I would just click on an answer. I would not try to solve them. I wouldn't sit there for an hour and try to learn. I would just be like, just show me how you did it. Just show me how you got the answer. And I would do that like for a few a day, like maybe for 2 weeks before the exam. But throughout them just getting through the material, I ignored sims entirely.
Okay. So it sounds like you go through new material, and let's say you get hypothetically 50 or 60% of it in your head. You're also using the re-review to like improve on those past areas. And once you get to a certain point, so are you saying you would wait to even schedule an exam until you kind of were through X amount of the material and scoring a certain amount, and then schedule it because you're like, now I'm ready?
Yes. So I didn't schedule audit until I had covered all the material, and I was getting kind of ridiculously high scores on my MCQs. Like I was getting 100 every day before I was like, I'm ready for this. I think I'm going to schedule it. And I did the same thing with reg.
Yeah.
I covered all the material. I gave myself like an extra week or two to really get high scores on my re-review. Now with BEC, I felt very rushed just due to the window. So when I finished the material, I scheduled the exam, didn't give myself that long time because I just thought, well, if I don't pass, I need to know that. I need to have time to reschedule it and get to the point of passing. So I hated the way I did BEC. It was not my normal system. I didn't feel as ready as I normally did, but I passed on the first try. So I think in a way I do over prepare.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting 100s on all your sets of 30. That's, pretty high. Yeah, you're ready. Okay. Oh, I had another question about, so when you say you were trying to read the notes once a week, how would that actually break down throughout your day? Would you do it in chunks as small as 2 or 3 minutes, or would it mostly be in the evenings, or how would that actually unfold?
So I'm, again, researching all this. Something I learned about was called habit stacking, where like you don't necessarily plan when you're going to do it, you plan how you're going to do it. So like every day when I'm eating, I'm reading my re-review notes. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, I'm reading my re-review notes. And whether I sit and eat a 5-minute breakfast or I sit and eat an hour-long dinner because I'm on the couch and the TV's on and my kid's here, like I'm just reading the notes the whole time. I feel like I do get the most done in the evenings, but as a rule, if I have downtime, if it's the weekend and I'm waiting in line here, I pull my phone out and I just start reading. And I always I would know how many pages there were in the total of the re-review notes. And I would say, okay, I need to cover, is it 50 pages a day so that I get through all of them in a week or whatever. I feel like the most pages is FAR. I feel like I'm having to do the most reading with FAR for whatever reason. But
also, our 2024
we just update them
like 3 times longer than the previous one.
Yeah.
You probably noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that is nice though, because you can be doing that anywhere. Like you kind of mentioned doing that over the weekend if you're out doing something. I mean, if you have your phone, you can be studying and racking up study time or extra exposure, whatever you want to call it. I studied from my phone very heavily just because of that fact. Like I could go to the driving range and be listening to audios, or all throughout the day, instead of checking ESPN 1,000 times, I could take quizzes, or, well, I only use quizzes. I didn't have any sorted notes or anything, but yeah, it just, it helps to make up roughly half of your study time from your phone. And I think people discount the idea of how effective it can be to study 5 to 10 minutes at a time from your phone, but it makes a huge difference.
Definitely.
Let's see. What about any flashcards or taking notes or putting things in your own words, so to speak? Did you do any form of that?
Yeah, so flashcards are big for me. I did use Quizlet, or I have used Quizlet sort of exclusively. I tried to do handwritten notes in the beginning with audit, and I just found that to be really ineffective because I didn't have them with me. If I didn't remember to grab them, I didn't have them. Whereas with Quizlet, it's on my phone, so anytime I can just be going through it. And what I would do is every day when I did my re-review, I would have one tab open with my re-review questions and one tab open with Quizlet. And if I was getting something wrong consistently, I would force myself to be like, okay, make a flashcard. Like you said, explain it to myself in my own words. And so my flashcards were not things they were just things that I really felt like I needed to remember, that I needed to go back over. But I have used them quite a bit.
Yeah. Again, that's like the perfect explanation. I think if you try to take or make flashcards or even notes your first time through material, I mean, it all seems new. You'll spend a huge amount of time making flashcards on everything. And the re-review is kind of the perfect time. I keep forgetting this calculation or this formula or whatever. And then as you make the flashcards through your process, you have your own weakest areas, but in kind of your own words in a way that you've made sense of. And then as you review them, you're committing that to memory. So it all comes, the stuff that fell into place without much effort is taken care of. And then there's the stuff on your flashcards. I was going to ask that again, about your re-review, because you said that was such a key part, and it is. So you do 30 questions, and just what was your process? If you missed 5 or 10 questions, would you rework those right then, or what was your actual re-review process?
Right. So that's something I sort of learned that I was doing wrong, I feel like in the beginning, and that, well, I don't know, it just changed for me. In the beginning, I would do the 30 questions, and the way I did it, like if I got the question wrong, it immediately appeared on the screen, like, you got this wrong, here's the solution. I would just sort of glance at it and move on and not really take any time to be like, okay, why did I get it wrong? I would just sort of move on. And so I kept getting things wrong and wrong and wrong. And then that's when I was like, okay, you need to go back and look at what you got wrong and figure out why you got it wrong so that it doesn't keep happening. So what I do now is I go through the 30 questions and then I read through all of them again. If I got it right, I sort of click past it because I don't really feel like I need to keep hitting that again and again. But anything I got wrong, I do rework through on a daily basis.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. That's just exactly how we explain it in the pro course. What else? So what about do you have any like hobbies or things that you made it a point to keep doing throughout this process, just to, not have your whole life be work and study?
So, well, yeah, I have a 5-year-old. So, like I said, I'm mom 90% of the time. And I feel like that's the really nice thing about this is I don't feel like my kid looks at me every day and is like, all my mom does is study. Like, I still do all of the things with him. In the beginning, I had a lot going on just personally that was like just really cool things going on in my life that I was able to maintain. My sister and I do pageants, and at the time we had a girl who had done a pageant with us. She went on to win Miss Maryland, and then she went to Miss America. So I was going to Connecticut and spending a week in watching Miss America every day, and it was like the coolest experience of my life. But I was also studying for the CPA exam every morning in my hotel room, like. And then over the summer, like I went to a Taylor Swift concert, which was also the coolest thing ever. Like just my life went on. I was able to still do really awesome things. And I was also passing exams consistently. So I just feel like everyone needs to know this. Like your life can go on. It can still be your life and you can still pass.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest, yeah. I sometimes in like comments on our videos or whatever, people will be like, super fast. There is no super fast with the CPA. Like if it's not a nightmare, if you're not miserable, you're not doing it right,
It's not true.
It's like strictly about your strategy. And yeah. So I mean, I was basically gonna ask you that to kind of get you to say something similar, but you yeah. So normally the way I phrase it is you're still able to kind of have a normal life. I mean, as long as you nail the discipline side of, studying when you need to, this, I'm assuming this hasn't felt just like an all consuming nightmare,
No.
You can still do the things you want to do.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like this runs my life. I don't feel like the CPA exam is my end all be all. Like I'm still me. I still do all the things. It's just there's a habit that I have every day that is my study process, and it's just a part of my day. I do it and I move on. I don't stress about it. I don't worry about it all day long. I don't talk about it all day long. And I'm sure there's people that I know that don't even know that I'm taking the exam because it doesn't run my life.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, not about the CPA, but what do you do with the pageants? Or, I mean, I know nothing about. Do you like help? Is it little girl pageants and you like help or something?
No. So I started pageantry when I was a teenager, competing, and sort of did that up until college. And then when I was in college, I started helping girls who were competing. So I guess you'd call that like coaching, sort of, but it wasn't official or anything like that. I would just know a girl and she'd be like, "Can you help me?" And I would.
Yeah.
And then my sister and I actually took over a pageant locally that we were running. And like I said, one of the girls that was in it's a small hometown pageant. It's not anything big. She won. And then when she got older and she went to college, she started doing state level. So she became Miss Maryland and she went to Miss America, which is, I mean, the hugest deal around here. So the fact that we were able to maintain that, and I'm still doing this, like I said, I was in my hotel room every morning on my laptop and then getting into a ball gown at night and going to Miss America, like just the craziest thing.
Yeah. That's also good for people to hear, because I'll get asked things like, I'm going on vacation, in between when I should be studying for FAR, like as if it's, impossible to, and that's what I'll say. Like, well, I mean, just get up, do the same thing, like 2 hours, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and you're done. Like you can have the whole day. Yeah, my daughters watch Dance Moms. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, that's not at all what it's like in real life.
That reality show?
No, yeah, it's not that at all.
I'm guessing because yeah.
My wife has watched it, and I'm like, you can't watch this. You can't watch this. It's just it's so horrible. Yeah. I'm glad it's not like that. What you're doing.
Yeah, that's funny. Let's see.
Is there anything that you knew going into this that you wanted to talk about, that you wanted to mention, that you haven't gotten to say or anything like that?
I will say I feel like even your methods, I've sort of been kind of lazy about. Like, I feel like people need to know you don't have to be perfect. Like, do you need to be consistent? Yes. But do you have to be perfect? No. Like, there were times when, like, I went on vacation with my family in August and I didn't study. I just sort of made up my mind I was going to take a break, and you're allowed to do that every once in a while, but you have to be able to get back on the wagon when you get home, go right back to it. Like, it's possible. You don't have to just kill yourself, and I took breaks in between. Like, when I would get a passing score, I would be like, okay, I did that. I'm going to take 2 weeks off or something and then move on to the next one. Like, I took probably a month almost in between BEC and FAR because it was December. I wanted to do Christmas with my kid. Like, I just didn't want to have to do it. I was like, I'll get on for the new year, whatever. And so it just doesn't have to ruin your life. I know I've said that like 3 times now, but like, I really just don't. Mm-hmm. I don't think people realize that. I didn't realize that. I really thought it was going to be the worst, most traumatic thing I've ever done, and it's not. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. Like, it has this air about it. This reputation of being like just the most horrible, like nightmarish thing you can do, but you have to do it because you got to be in, you got to be in public accounting or whatever. But it just it doesn't have to be that. And I feel like if I wish that there was a way to get the normal way of studying out of the way, like so that people just never even thought to do that, but it's still out there. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't have to rule your life, like you were saying.
Well, with your sister working for Becker, I mean, with the 2024 exams, aren't they kind of their approach to kind of this question first thing? I don't know if you've talked to her about that at all, but I think that's kind of the new thing with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's interesting having done all of them. Like, I started before all this new stuff happened, and I'm getting to the end of it, like as everyone's moving into the new. So I saw what Becker was previously, and I've seen they have a whole new system now. And what was really, really, really annoying to me in the beginning with Becker was when I would do a new multiple choice, like for new material, there might be 60 questions, which I think is ridiculous because there's only 60 some questions per exam. You're not going to get 60 questions on one topic. Like that, I just feel like that's insane. And I would get frustrated because, like, why would I spend this much time on one topic? But now there's a limit to how many questions per topic. Like, I think it's 25 questions maybe is a maximum, like, per lesson. Whereas before, I mean, it felt like there was no limit to how many. So they're definitely changing the way that they're doing things. And it doesn't match this, but I feel like they're getting there, like realizing it's not working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only kind of know that because I just watched one of their webinars as they were introducing their new approach or their new system. And they kind of explained that you use their questions as like your primary learning tool, and you go to their lecture or their text, like if you need more info for that topic. But at the same time, it's not really, nothing pops up that like explains that if you log into Becker, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So anyways, it's just that I saw that one webinar that explained it. But I don't think people know that. I think people still just kind of start with the video and the textbook and then go to the questions.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. They offer like a chat group, like an online Facebook group for Becker. Like if you've bought the Becker package, you can be a part of their Facebook group. And so people are on there chatting and asking like, there will be people who will say, I'm new, this is my first exam. What's your approach? Do you watch the videos? Do you read the book? What do you do? And I'll click on it just to see what the comments are. And 90% of the people are saying, yes, you need to read the textbook, and then you need to watch the videos, and then you need to do the multiple choice questions, and then you need to do the simulations. And I just always want to be like, no, don't do that, please. But I don't know if I would get in trouble for that, so I just don't. But yeah, I don't think anyone realizes that that's not the best way, maybe.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we're trying really hard because we run a lot of ads, as maybe you saw, but actually you said you saw us on social media first, right? Just like a random post somehow?
No. So I was looking for like, I don't know, just anything as far as what people were doing for the CPA exam. So I was just searching. I think it might have even been Instagram, like just CPA exam studying, whatever. And like a video that you had posted popped up. And I watched it, and I think it was somebody talking about like what they had done with you. And I was like, maybe I should find this. So I just sort of Googled you really quickly, and you were having one of those webinars, the 1 hour webinars. So I just watched it, and I just immediately was like, okay, this sounds good. I'm going to try it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are you scoring, like hundreds on your FAR re-review sets right now?
No, I'm not there yet. I'm in the 70s and 80s. Which is usually where I am when I finish the material. And then I give myself, like I said, a week or two to sort of really nail down, okay, what am I getting wrong? What am I doing? And it's different when you're not covering new material every day because you're getting more of that just what's a weak point for me type of thing. So in my normal method, I would probably sit next week or the following week, but I'm just sort of really dragging my feet because I don't want to have to do this again in June, so.
Yeah, I mean, you may as well just extend it a little bit, I mean, if you get to the point where you are getting like 90s or 100s, maybe that might be the time. But yeah, I mean, pushing it as close to the end of March, I think it's March 26th is the last day. I mean, most likely it won't hurt you, but only benefit you. It's definitely something that we're telling a lot of people who are like really worried. They're like, oh, I gotta get this exam. And it's like, well, yeah, but you don't want to have to wait till June to find out you failed kind of a thing. So it's definitely, I totally get what you're saying there.
I mean, that failing now will set someone back like 5 or 6 months because if they go in and take it with 2 months to get the score, find out it's a fail, they haven't studied it for 2 months now, so they're starting over. So they study for 2 more months. I mean, it's like it changes the whole strategy a lot. And I like what you're saying, where you're just studying, and until your daily sets of 30 are to a certain point, and then you kind of give yourself, okay, I'm basically ready, but with another like 2 or 3 weeks of review, I will absolutely be there. That's kind of what I think we got to start telling people, just that exact thing. Because I think people now are still in the mindset of scheduling multiple ones, or they don't want to, like, they save a little bit of money for purchasing multiple NTSs, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's just a huge hit to fail one. Way different than before. Yeah. So anyways, well, we've kind of gone through everything. I mean, the last question we always ask is, what would be your top 3 tips to someone who is struggling with the process and how they could turn it around?
So I always sort of looked at it like with the pro course, you gave sort of like a checklist, like this is the method. And so it consists of like the 2-hour daily session, the re-review, and the mini sessions like throughout the day, and like flashcards basically for things you're not understanding. And so every time I hit a wall, like with BEC or even now with FAR, like if my scores aren't where I want them to be, I sort of take a step back and I look at what I'm doing every day, and I'm like, what am I missing in the puzzle? What piece am I slacking on that I need to? And sometimes it's never re-review. That's always been my thing. But sometimes it'll be I'm not doing enough of like the notes the audio notes, the mini sessions. A lot of times I will slack off on that if I'm busy or whatever. But to me, like the value in what you guys do is you're like the people who have taken the class already. Like when you're in college and you go to that really hard class and you have a friend who's like, I got your back. I took this class last semester. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. This is how you're going to pass. That is literally what you guys are doing. Like you're saying, this is the method, do it, and it will work. Now, yeah, do you tweak it a little bit here and there for yourself? Yes, but overall, this is the strategy, and it works. Like I honestly didn't think I would be able to do this. I work full time. I have a kid. I went to college years ago. I'm not fresh out. None of this is in my brain on a daily basis. I've never worked in audit. BEC made no sense to me. I shouldn't be able to do this. If I was doing the other way, I can tell you right now, I would have given up. I don't have 4 hours a day, but you guys gave me a cheat code and it worked. So
that was one of the best 2-minute clips of all time. So you might see that going around on social media. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, we won't take up much more of your time, but I appreciate you doing the call. That was very good. This will be a great interview, a lot of good clips. Yeah, and you're someone you get it. So I will congratulate you in advance on being all done, because I'm positive you'll pass far when you take it.
Yep. We'll be expecting that email in June.
Yeah. I'm glad you found us and that it's, made such a difference. It's awesome to hear.
You guys are lifesavers. Like I keep saying, I'm like, when I pass FAR, do I go get on the Facebook group and say like, everyone go to SuperfastCPA. Keep using Becker because you need it for like the daily lessons or whatever. I'm not saying don't use Becker. My sister works there. I don't want to get myself in trouble. But like you need a strategy and I can tell you where to get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely do that. As much word of mouth as possible, instead of just me on an ad saying like, I can tell you how to pass this faster. So.
All right, that was the interview with Colbi. Again, it was awesome. It's amazing that she was able to maintain doing pageants, being a mom to a 5-year-old, which is a ton of work, and also be able to do some fun things like go on a vacation or go see a Taylor Swift concert. Her experience is a great example of how important it is to be efficient and effective so that you can still feel happy in your busy life. I'm sure you loved the interview. Make sure to leave a rating in your favorite podcast app or leave a like and a comment on the video on YouTube. Also, one more reminder to go check out our free 1-hour webinar training on SuperfastCPA.com. We will teach you how to pass the exam efficiently and effectively and still have a life just like Colbi had. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.